Hey, Charger History. Today's essential question is, how did Christianity begin? Please pause and copy this essential question at the top of your notebook. Please draw your vertical line for your notes. Yesterday we learned about the story of Moses and the Jewish exodus out of Egypt. Do you remember what Holy Land did the Hebrews return to? And what did God give Moses during the journey? Growing up in New Orleans, it's likely that you consider yourself and your family to be Christians. Not all of us do, and that's okay. Remember, we need to have respect for the religious diversity that we have here. But if you are Christian, then maybe the stories of Abraham and Moses sound familiar to you. These stories appeared in the Torah, but they also appear in the Bible, because Christians believe in the stories of Moses and Abraham too. These stories are part of the Old Testament of the Bible. Please pause and copy this information about the Holy Bible of Christianity. It's the Holy Book for Christianity. It's divided into two parts, the Old and the New Testaments. And the Old Testament is the same book with the same stories and the same teachings as the Jewish Torah. It's the exact same book, just with a different name. Please pause to finish copying. Today we're going to talk about how Christianity came from Judaism. Judaism is a much older religion than Christianity, and it was a Jewish person who started Christianity. Christianity and Judaism believe in the same God, but today we'll talk about how they're different, how Christianity broke off from Judaism. You'll see that Christianity has a smaller word inside it, Christ. That's because it's named after Jesus Christ, the man who started the religion of Christianity. Jesus Christ was born in Nazareth, which was a city in Israel. He was born more than 1,000 years after Moses brought the Hebrews back to Israel. By this time, Judaism was the major religion in this region, and Israel truly was a safe, holy land for the Jews. But there was a new empire in charge when it came to Jesus' time. This empire was the Romans. Yep, these are the same Romans who traded with the Chinese along the Silk Road and couldn't get enough of their silk. The Romans were also polytheistic. They didn't believe in one God, they believed in many. And they forced their people to worship their emperor as a god, just like many civilizations that we've learned about did. So they weren't very happy when they realized that Jewish people believed in only one God. If there was only one God, then how could the emperor be a god? The Romans realized that they might lose control of the Hebrews if the Hebrews refused to worship the emperor. Jesus became something of a teacher. He wandered around talking to people, spreading his ideas about how we should be living our lives. One of his major teachings was the Golden Rule, which was do unto others as you would want them to do to you. The Golden Rule is still taught by Christians today as a way to summarize Jesus' message. He preached that we must love our neighbor, even our enemies, and treat them well. Please pause and copy this information about the Golden Rule. It's the main theme of Jesus' teaching, and it says, treat others as you want to be treated. Pause and copy. This is such an important idea for Christianity. It also, though, struck the Romans the wrong way because it implied equality among all people, rich, poor, whoever, and that's really not how Roman society worked. The Romans started to get a little mad at Jesus. The Torah said that Jewish people were waiting for a Messiah, or a Savior, to come to earth. They believed that God would send them this Messiah to save them from the Romans. Let's go ahead and define Messiah really quick in your notebook. Please pause and copy Messiah as a Savior. The Hebrews believed that whoever was their Messiah would take them away from Roman rule. They didn't want to follow Roman polytheism or listen to this emperor who claimed to be a god. What they wanted was independence from the Romans, and they wanted to rule their own holy land, Israel. Some Jewish people believed that Jesus was the Messiah that they had been waiting for. They began to call themselves Christians. So the people who followed Jesus Christ called themselves Christians after him. As Christians began to grow in number, they started to protest more freely against the Roman government. Soon enough, the Romans arrested Jesus as their leader and sentenced him to death. Jesus was crucified, which means that he was put to death on the cross. After Jesus was buried in a tomb, his followers claimed to find his tomb empty 3 days later, and they decided that Jesus must have risen from the dead. Christians began to spread the word of this miracle and spread Jesus' teachings and tell the story of his death and of his resurrection from the tomb. Eventually, Christianity spread far outside the land of Jesus' birth, but it still considers the land of Israel and its capital city, Jerusalem, to be a holy place, since that's where Jesus grew up, lived, died, and rose from the dead. Please return to your playlist to learn more about Jesus and about the start of his religion, Christianity.